Did you know that China has been going through a second wave of COVID-19, but due to their level of containment, no one has died from it? COVID-19 is a close contact based virus which can be airborne up to a certain point. You can get it from touching your eyes, nose, or mouth after contact with the virus. You can also get it directly from the respiratory droplets of an infected person, according to the CDC. I wanted to inform you on COVID-19 because it is impacting everyone worldwide right now. I am an essential worker and have been in contact with the virus many times. I have tested negative and have not contracted the virus yet. Due to this, my family and I have had to self-isolate. This is one of the many reasons why other members of my family also haven't caught the virus. COVID-19 has some similarities to the flu, but is more aggressive and has additional symptoms. Another difference is that COVID-19 has no confirmed treatments yet, so the most we can do for now is try and prevent it. There is a lot of misinformation surrounding the virus. That being said, having the right information is vital for our survival. First, I will debunk some of the myths surrounding the virus. Next, I will talk about some countries, what they have done to prevent the spread, and their statistics in correlation with those two. Finally, I will compare this with how the United States is dealing with COVID. Most of us know what to do to prevent the spread, but some people do not follow these guidelines because they have been influenced by some of these myths surrounding COVID-19. These myths are mostly based around the use of a mask. One myth is that a mask does not protect one from the virus. While it is true that the virus itself is smaller than a mask can filter, according to Lindsay Marr, a professor at Virginia Tech who specializes in airborne transmission of viruses, there is never a naked virus floating in the air or released by people. This means that the virus has to be attached to something larger, like a respiratory particle, which is what the masks are filtering. In that case, the N95 mask does a very good job at filtering out these particles. The other main myth or concern is that the mask inhibits your ability to breathe and traps your CO2 that you exhale. This may be true for some wearing the N95 mask or any other heavy-duty mask for long periods of time, but that is not what the general public is wearing. Instead we wear lightweight cloth masks, and the general idea of a mask is to trap the virus for those who are infected, or keep it out in the first place for those who are not. In a test with Dr. Justin Sandel, an anesthesiologist oxygen levels only dropped 1 to 3% when wearing a mask. This is well in the bounds of the ideal level of oxygen. Sources like these debunk the myth because the general public does not wear a heavy enough mask or wear any mask long enough to inhibit your breathing or trap anything. Now I'll move on to other countries. Now I will move on to what other countries have done to prevent the spread and how this has impacted their statistics. Countries that have reacted fast to the virus and put rules in place have better statistics than those who acted slow or do not have rules in place for prevention. For example, New Zealand has put an emphasis on uniting the people against the enemy, which is COVID-19. The Prime Minister of New Zealand played a large role in her country's success of combating the virus.
Sorry.
She issued New Zealanders to protect one another from the health threat, shut down travel, banned foreigners from entering the country, and put an emphasis on everyone doing their own part. Due to this, they have had roughly 1,500 cases and around 24 deaths from COVID. Other countries like Singapore, South Korea, and Taiwan have mandated longer quarantine times, shut down their borders, track the ones that are infected, and have given multiple stimulus checks to help the ones in need. Meanwhile, while those countries have relatively low deaths and infected count per capita compared to countries like the US, who are leading in both cases and deaths. This is due to the United States' lack of aggression and response to the virus. The United States is not united in their effort to combat the virus because all of the states are controlled by an individual governor who have their own opinions and act accordingly. We have very little precautions and don't have enough tests per capita. And despite not having despite not having tamed the virus, we reopened and our numbers continue to grow to record highs. We do not have many of the things that the other countries have implemented, like a good way of tracking the infected, set rules and precautions, and multiple stimulus checks. Due to all these aspects, the combined United States infected toll is 3 million of the 11 million cases worldwide, and we are responsible for 1/5 of the deaths worldwide. Now I will conclude my discussion. The world is varying in the ways that it prevents spread and the results of their efforts. I talked about how some countries are doing just that, as well as the results so far in today's speech. I also talked about what COVID-19 is, how it is spread, and debunked some of the myths surrounding it. I had to talk about the United States as a separate point simply because I know more about it here, and we are the ones doing worse among the more developed countries. Even if the United States were in fact united under one influence or government, do you think we will be doing any better in relation to our statistics? In other countries, their leaders have a big influence on how well their country is doing. Donald Trump has had an overall negative impact and would arguably be the deciding factor in regard to what is done about COVID-19. So will his total control and influence help or further hurt our effort to fight and prevent COVID-19?